You look fire. How long did it take you to get ready today? Because I feel ashamed of what I look like right now.
Oh, today I cut corners, so about an hour and a half.
What? So how long does it normally take you to get ready?
I would love 2 hours because then I could just be like, do to do, and do whatever. But uh, sometimes I don't know why the days I have things to do, I decide to try new things, and I'm like,
Yeah.
why did I do that? But today I did like this nice green blue kind of thing situation,
Ooh.
so I'm loving it.
It looks really, really good. And obviously, I know you've been super, super busy promoting a lot of different projects that we'll talk about later on in the interview. So thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today.
No, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Now, a lot of people are fans of Tynomi Bank. So I think that people are maybe curious about your story, like how you got involved with drag and why you chose the world of drag. So take us all the way back to the beginning. How did this all come to be?
High school, I was involved with like all like drama. I was in the track club. I was all these things. So I was very active and a part of a lot of groups in high school. And when I went to college, I you're gonna die. I was actually in PR.
Wow.
So and I focused more of my my talents into public relations. And wait, I did event planning. That's what I did. This is where the switch happened. I was in I think the company closed and went to America, and I got a job at a hotel. It was the worst year.
Oh
like
no.
because how I read the description, the hotel had this position where they're like, "Oh, it's event planning. You get to travel, meet clients." I'm like, "Oh, good. I get to be active." No, you have to put in like all the years, all the years to get
Oh.
to that. So I was like an assistant to like four other managers who were traveling all the time and everything. And they weren't the worst. It was just the worst job. It was just
Mhm.
like not my vibe. I was sad. I was like kind of depressed because I was like, you just thought something was something and it
Mhm.
wasn't. And from there, this is where the magic happens. I asked myself a question one day. I was like, what makes me happy? And I remembered in high school, like being in dance and all this stuff. And my mom, not that she wasn't supportive, she just was like, I talked to her about it. And she's like, you know what? Do what you're gonna do. Take a year, just figure out some stuff. Do what you're gonna do. I'm like, okay. So I joined a dance group and I learned actually how to do choreo because I just used to freestyle and go-go dance at clubs, right? I wanted to learn like how to dance like Janet Jackson, how to dance, do the Britney Spears stuff, like
Yeah.
do all this, right? And so I was going to classes all the time and then joined a group called Next Level. The best decision of my life was to get back into dance and it just helped me express myself and like when I was sad, mad, angry, all those things. I got to put it into dance and physically actually worked out the issues and problems. And
Mhm.
now where Tynomi comes in. So I was doing a few years of that. I know my mom again, these Jamaicans, right? They're like, "What are you doing with your life? What are you doing?" And I'm like, you know what? I think I might go back to school. This was a question I hadn't. Like I thought I was going to go back to school. I don't even know what I was going to do, but I was like, I need to go back to school to do something because I just thought that was what you do. And
Right.
one night my friend, my close friend, who he was managing a bar and he wanted to put on a show, and so he got two drag queens and he needed another one that could dance, and so he literally was searching for weeks, and then he asked me, he's like, hey, do you mind doing me a big favor? Can you get in drag, like I'll pay for it, and just help me do this performance? And
Mhm.
I'm like, you know what, okay, is it one time like you'll find a person? He's like, yeah. That's the last time I had that conversation with him. Literally, what, 14 years later, 13 years later, I've been Tynomi
Wow.
Banks.
It's
Yeah.
insane listening to the story because everybody's path in life is not linear. So like you study one thing, you go into the field, you hate it, and then you're like, okay, how can I actually like make myself happy? And that's always about reconnecting with your passion. So I'm so glad that like you had the opportunity to do that because a lot of people wouldn't take that leap of faith. They'd be like, no, this is safe and like I need to have structure in my life. So thank you for like going after your dreams because obviously you're killing it and so many people love what you're doing.
And I think it was not necessarily the drag, it was just the fact that there's so many things, there's so many parts of drag that make it amazing. Like you
Hmm.
get to be your own celebrity star.
Hmm.
I get to dance, and it was very tapped in, and people came to see me, and I loved that spotlight. I love that attention. It
Yeah.
really, it's a great feeling, especially when someone else comes to the club and they're like, I was having a bad day, I'm sad and everything. And they sit there and watch you, and then you just see that their worries melt away and they smile and everything. So yeah.
I 100% agree. And obviously, you're bringing so much happiness to people at all different times, right? So, I wanted to get into a little bit more in the drag world. So, do you feel that because you were a person of color, that your experience in drag was more difficult than what others might have had to face?
I will talk from years back. I won't even say now, because now is very different from now. For me, I'll say is
Hmm.
very different from now me starting things. I just remember certain things. I'll tell you what my mom told me. She raised us very aware, because we were very, she had a lot of like white friends, like people of color, like different nationalities of friends. And I
Hmm.
remember just one day she said to me, she's like, you know, us as Black people, we have to try harder. We have to make sure we dot our I's, uh, pay attention to what you do, double check your homework. Just because we get judged that much harder, it's easier for us to lose things. She's like, I
Hmm.
just wanted you to know that. I don't want you to fear it. I just want you to take that in consideration. And this is why she's like, my children will always, you will always respect people, respect yourselves, and you know, just like walk and have the most confidence. Live. She goes, that's how I live my life as well. And so that's why it's funny. Like when you get me mad, it takes me a lot. Like I get mad easily, but it takes me a lot to like actually lash out. My mom is the same way. We just sit back because we know our worth, and it's
Hmm.
not worth it sometimes, because we just
Hmm.
know our work and what we do. We prove ourselves, and that's why it's just so funny. Like me growing up in the scene now, I've had a lot of girls like try to come tell me things. Like at one time I was like, it's like maybe first year in drag, and I would stand with my legs wide open because like I'm wearing heels
Yeah.
and all night, and so that's the most comfortable position. And so like a pageant queen comes over and she's like, honey, a lady stands like this, put your legs together. And I literally looked at her and I
Oh,
gave her
snap.
a few curse words. Oh no, I just said a few curse words. And I said, look at yourself before chatting to me. Go.
Yeah.
So it's very Naomi Campbell line. Go check your lipstick before talking to me. Because I knew I looked hot and everything, and you're gonna come talk to me about how I stand. Like just
Yeah.
stuff like that would happen all the time. And I always, and it's so weird because I never, and I want to say this properly. I don't know if I'm going to explain it properly. I didn't see color. I
Hmm.
seen, but I don't, I know that the color exists, but I just didn't, for myself, I just didn't want to believe in that struggle. So I was like, I always tried hard. I always made sure I was amazing. I'm like, you can never talk to me. Like, that's my attitude. I'm like, what? Okay, I'm going to slay this because I knew I could. No
Hmm.
one's like me. So I just had that attitude. It was so fiery and fate and very feisty, fiery person. I had a personality like that. So yeah, like I definitely, and there's so many unfair things. Like I'm like, why is this girl getting a gig over me when I
Hmm.
know I'm the best? Why is she
Hmm.
getting more money than me? What? Oh, because what? Like I just, it didn't make sense, right? And
Yeah.
so I don't know. I just changed. I always just made sure. Obviously, like the Tynomi's fieriness is still there, but I made sure to communicate properly with things.
Hmm.
So if I had an issue with money, like at the club, sometimes I would find that the Black girls who had lower pay than the white girls. And we were in a girl group. I was in a girl group and we got paid lower. I'm like, hold on, this makes no
That doesn't make
sense.
any sense.
Yes. So I was like this, hold on. So we have to learn new routines. And I told them, I go, we have to learn new routines. Maybe we do it like in a month, we'll learn 4 new routines,
Mhm.
put on rotation, get our costumes matching, have solo acts. So it was like a full show, and the other girls just two step. And so we just presented it that way and just folded our arms. We're like, who else could do what we're doing?
Mm-hmm.
And then we just, it's almost like it didn't even have to come to the point where we threatened to leave. We just presented it in that way and just was like, is this fair? And they just quickly changed it. So just moments like that. I was always known to ruffle the water feathers or whatever, just because I wanted every queen, every POC of color just to take a stand. And like, if they're doing something and they think and they know it's like something's wrong or weird or sketchy, question it. You're allowed. Don't be afraid. It's like you're the talent. People are coming to see you. Don't make it the other way around. Business owners used to kind of do that. Like, oh, you should be lucky to be on my stage. I'm like, no, you're lucky to have me on your stage. So pay me.
That's so like, to me, that's so ridiculous. And obviously your confidence and your belief in yourself allowed you to put yourself in that position to question things. But I know a lot of people would be afraid because, like you said, people would be like, oh, you're lucky to perform on my stage and all this nonsense. But like, to me, the fact that like the pay was not equal from the get-go is like absolutely ridiculous. And you mentioned pay, but I wanted to talk about in terms of like bookings and your experience with that. So like, in your experience, do you feel that like the spaces that were reserved for Black drag queens, are they limited in comparison to the space for like your white counterparts, like especially in terms of the bookings that you guys would get?
I want to say I only could speak on maybe someone else's experience and my own. There was, when the Black Lives Movement, like, it was always there, but when it actually started erupted in like at the beginning of last year, a few of the queens, it was just a proper moment. So I just found it important for the younger queens. Like, there's one young queen started a petition because she had a few moments dealing with a certain management person where he did a lot of things were really disrespectful and borderline and racist. And she called him out and she messaged me. She's like, hi, I'm going to do a petition. Can you please sign it? I'm like, yes. And the reason I said yes is because this is her experience. And that person messaged me. He's like, why would you sign that? I'm so nice to you. I'm like, hello, just because you like me, like, we're the same color. Like, we're the same. Like, I don't know what you're doing. Like, why would you treat me any different from this person?
Right.
You know, so yes, I support her because we're in this together. She wants to perform. She's getting no bookings because of these situations. So yeah, you need to ask yourself what's going on with you. Don't ask me because we're friends. It's I just don't understand that. It's like, you like me? Oh yeah, I like you, Tynomi. I'm like, okay, well, my Black sister needs help. like we're Black. Like, if you're gonna help me, why don't you help her?
Again, you are obviously in a position of where you're quite confident and you're secure, so you don't actually have to, like, you could look at those things and be like, ah, it has nothing to do with me. But the fact that you are taking a stand and being supportive means that you want to see more of your Black sisters excel in this industry, because I can imagine that it's not easy. And without support, it can be a very, very tough situation, right?
I used to be so like, I don't care. And like, that was very Tynomi's mood. And I don't know, like, before the pandemic, I think I had a slow period where I got to see a few shows, and like, and it doesn't matter what color you are, like, these performers are doing everything to entertain these people in the crowd. So something just like, maybe it's my age or whatever, I just was like, okay. And they look up to me. They're like, I can't believe. They come over at the end of the show. They're like, you were here tonight? I was like,
Oh,
it mattered? They're like, yeah. I was like, oh, like, I know. I'm like, because I don't not go on purpose. I'm very like a Jamaican old woman. I'm like in my bed, want to watch my Netflix, you know? So like, me showing up, I didn't realize it was actually like a thing. And they really cared. And so and so when that petition moment came up, I'm like, yes. Like, right away I said yes. And they were like, oh my God, that's amazing. And they just want to see change. They just want to have the same opportunities. They want to be put with the other girl, because like, they're at home for hours doing the most Like they
Mhm.
don't go to school for makeup, they're teaching themselves there for hours.
I know that you are working on something really special with the Black Lives Matter movement. So can you tell us a little bit about the details of that project?
Yes, for sure. So the collab and collection is on my website, www.tynomibanks.com. There's a little, those three slashes, you select it and it says Black Lives
Yeah.
Matter, go right into it. And then a drop down of all my t-shirts and sweaters, hoodies are in there. Um, the importance, because I know you're going to ask the importance of it, I literally miss performing, dancing, and being involved with the community. And I did a lot of work that way every time around this year, around this time of year, February. I did like a lot of fundraisers. I used to be part of things. And I was like, okay, what are we going to do this year? Like, I just want to sit home. I've been sitting home all year watching the news, death after death, bad news after bad. I'm like, what can I do? I need to be more active. And I always wanted to work with Black Lives Matter, and I just wanted to make sure it was the right thing to collaborate on. And they loved it. I loved it. And it's just magic and timing. There is a picture of me standing up with my pose, and it's just, and that was organic, that moment. It was just the song, the moment, everything. And I just found that was the most powerful picture to, like, anytime people see that, they're like, oh my god, I need this, I need this. But it represents, it's a symbol of something, and it represents so much. I just wanted the clothing to matter to
Mhm.
to everyone. And the message are very simple but very powerful. And all this should just be normalized, like anti-racist, anti-protect our youth, Black Lives Matter, all that should be all normalized. It shouldn't just be a movement. It should be something that's happening constantly. And so that's the whole reason behind this collaboration. I just wanted to share love, information, have people just join this huge movement, not just because of me, just because it's something that's happening in our world today.
One last question before we go. So I know something that was super
Yeah.
exciting that happened was you were in a Super Bowl ad, which is crazy. So how did that happen, and what was that experience like for you? And I'm going to combo it with another question. So after the Super Bowl happened, like what other projects do you have upcoming this year?
I'm just blessed that and thankful that Simple. I did an article with Simple, and their company is so amazing. They want to be more inclusive, more diverse, and everything. And they just have great creative people on their staff. And I think I did an article, and someone mentioned my name, I guess, a second time for this commercial, and they just thought, oh yes, this is the perfect fit. So yes, so we went to California and we did the quarantine, the testing, and everything, and we had to just make sure I was good to go. And then I did a commercial, and what was beautiful about the commercial was there was no lines, so I got to really be myself.
Yeah.
He kind of made me audition, like, even though I got direct booked, but he just wanted to see, like, naturally what would come out and everything. And so he loved it, and it was such a fun audition, and we got to use a lot of the what I said in the audition for that. So that's why the role's so special. I got to, like, say things and kind of and be me still and through it, and it was really cute and funny and important commercial at the same time. Yeah, so I got back, and literally the Black Lives Matter project was the first thing I worked on. Then I don't want to, like, give too much away, but I'm dabbling in the notes of my voice a little bit, and, like, just a little tinge, just a little tinge. I don't, yeah, you're so excited. Just a little bit, just a little bit. I don't want to put too much pressure on. I don't want to put any pressure on myself. I want it to be
Yeah.
organic, but I'm happy to, like, at least say that to you right now. You live once. Let's try it
Yeah.
out, right?
Do it up. Do whatever you gotta do. And now I'm just like, give me a timeline. When can I expect to hear more about it?
I knew you were gonna ask. I'm like, hopefully this year.
Thank you so much for your time today. I'm glad that we had the chance to chat. And now I'm looking forward to whatever this new project is. So hopefully we can see each other in the future, not virtually, but in
Me
person.
too.
Maybe you can teach me a routine. I'm a really bad dancer, but hey, if you want to spend some time on me, more than happy to do